At the end of everything, don't forget, we still in lockdown. We still have some social responsibilities, so let me don't get away with that, right? Gotta keep things in check. So, hey, our next pleasant good evening to everybody locked on to Red. Here it is. We aim to inspire. We aim to educate. We aim to motivate based on the subject matters that we will discuss. And that's all it is about here at Red. Nothing fancy, nothing big. But I want to say thanks again for everybody who's locked on so far. We do have a couple of people already logged in. I'm hoping to see some more as the time rolls out. So we're back at Red. We're talking some stuff. And so don't forget, if you're liking what we do, remember, subscribe, like, share the channel, get other people involved, and let us know how the information has been impacting for you, how it has been, if it has been able to help you in any way, it has inspired you, it has motivated you. Let's know if you feel this, Eric, you're going down a road, I feel you shouldn't go down that road. Let me know that too, because it's all about us, we as a we thing, we helping each other. So I have the platform, I am, engaging it, but you feel free to engage me and let me know, hey, I ain't like that road you're going on, that ain't making sense. Change that topic. Let me talk about something else that is more beneficial to the people, and we could do that. And that's what I'm saying, I'm making sense. If I'm not making sense, tell me, right? So this is how we dropping it. I'll make sure everything here working good. Right, so I think everything in a gear. And this is how we dropping it. So again, my name is Eric Alvarez. Welcome to Red. Welcome to a channel that is hopefully going to be different as time goes on, and we're going to have some unique stuff happening. I just lined up some nice interviews for you guys over the next couple of weeks. You're going to have some of our more prominent, let me put it that way, some of our more prominent local people from the entertainment industry. Not going to call any names yet, but I'm now lining up a few interviews and that kind of stuff, because we just got things up to our next level, right? So we did some upgrades and the station looking nice. You've seen some new things happening on the screen, all kind of thing. We just kind of fine-tuning things, one way or the other. We just kind of fine-tuning stuff. So look out for more and bigger things coming down the road in Red. So let's get into the topic for the day. One time, we're not sticking. So the question was, do they really matter? And you notice I put the they in black in the title. And that is, of course, people to start to think, because I know some people catch it already. The minute they see the black, black, do they really matter? I know some people catch it already. But let me just jump down to it one time. So last week, I posted this, and we had a little chat over this. And some interesting comments came from people while during the chat, during the live, and even after the live. I had some very nice comments and conversations with people over this, and it was very enlightening. Let's put it that way. It was very enlightening on both sides of the table, because at the end of the day, as I said, what I say is just my opinion. It isn't law. It would be based on some facts as far as I know, but it isn't law, and there's nothing that says because I see it so, that is the way it's supposed to be. Good. However, I will, because I have, like everybody else, the right to express my opinion. I will do so. Some people would like it, some people would not like it. Just like some people would like yours, some people would not like yours. But that's just how life is. But you need to say what you need to say and let people know where you stand on a matter. So we had this. Black Lives Matter. Big and bold. So in other words, let's establish that fact. We are not taking anything away from that. This is fact. Black Lives Matter. Period. But then the bottom. But only when they are killed by cops. Killed by each other, not so much. That has been a bone of contention to a number of people. I expressed my views on this last week, so I wouldn't go it over. If you want, you could look at last week's episode and hear what I had to say on the matter. But let me just say, I believe I understood what these people were trying to say. It's not that they were saying black lives don't matter, but what they were saying, don't let it only matter when a black person is killed by a white cop. Let black lives matter all the time. whether they're killed by another black person, whether they're killed by a Chinese, whether they're killed by a Syrian, whether they're killed by an Arabian, whether they're killed by a Muslim, whether they're killed by a Russian, once a black person loses their life, it's supposed to matter all the time. Now, granted, we understand the context of this whole Black Lives Matter thing. We know it is rooted in racialism and the white against blacks and all that. We know that. But let's look at the weight of the statement itself. Black Lives Matter. If something matters, it has to matter not only in this instance or in that instance. If it matters, period. And that is my bone of contention with this thing. Because, well, let me get right on to it. So this was last week, Tuesday. During the course of the week, coming up close to weekend, I saw this one. Trinities protesting for George Floyd. Well, let me bring it bigger, one at a time. Let me bring it big. So this is the first part. Here are Trinities protesting for George Floyd's murder in the States. A black USA citizens. And by now the whole world know about that. Probably bigger than the whole COVID thing by now, because that was such a mess, that whole scenario. And the whole funeral was carried live globally and all that kind of thing. So here are Trinidad and Tobago citizens in front of the US Embassy, Queen's Park, Savannah, protesting in connection with the George Floyd's murder. We know, again, we don't have to go into detail. We know what that is. A white policeman had his knee on George Floyd's neck. George Floyd called it, I can't breathe. They ignoring it and all that kind of drama. Long story, the man dead. This week, a 2-year-old girl. Well, one place I saw it said 6-year-old. But nevertheless, a baby. This is a baby. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a baby. A baby girl was shot to death together with, I believe it was her father. No protest. Not even a peep. Nothing. Let me come back home. I want to see my face. Nothing. Nothing wrong with protesting the George Floyd thing, He's a black man. We black, we Trinidadians, we black. We could identify with our scene. We understand it. Right here in Trinidad, we see racism. We see it. Who want to deny that is your business? You lies up. You're just unreal. If people want to deny it, they're just unreal with the whole scenario. Right in Trinidad, we just see racism. Heavy racism. On all kind of different levels. So we're not pretending it don't exist. We understand that. The George Floyd thing, we could identify with it because we are black people. I mean, human beings on the whole, we could identify with it. But more so, we have also black people, we could identify with the whole George Floyd scenario. But that happened in the States. We in Trinidad protesting. A 2-year-old girl get killed right here, gunned down. Nothing. And you want to come and tell me what Black Lives Matter. So she life matter. She was shot in conjunction with her father. As far as based on the information I saw. If anybody have any other additional information, if it's contrary and feel free to let me know if it's different. Right? If I have the information wrong, feel free to correct me. I will take correction. I will take my licks. But as based on the information that I saw, she was shot down together with her father. Let's just say, for argument, I'm not saying this is the case, but let me just say, you could argue the point that maybe the father was involved in something and it was a retribution act. Somebody tried to get back at him. You could argue that, no problem. That still doesn't say his life don't matter. But what the girl was involved in, what a 2-year-old was involved in, that somebody would want to shoot her down. Let me get real. What could a 2-year-old be so involved in that somebody will want to take her out as revenge? let's just say for argument, which most likely, obviously it is, she happened to be there when they came for the father. So she got gunned down in the process. That don't matter. That child life didn't matter. Now let me get serious now, people. So it's only when a white person does a black person something, we go cry Black Lives Matter. But when your own people gun you down, no problem. We go take that. I'm my own. My family stabbed me in the back, so it's no problem. We serious, boy? And yeah, understand? I am not going on the road of all lives matter. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying, if we want to be saying Black Lives Matter, then lives is plural. And we didn't say some black lives. We didn't say these black lives. We say black lives, period. Then we had to show that. Otherwise, we just talking and we bumping with gum as we say in Trinidad. We wasting time. I seen a phone call coming in the back. Can't take it. Now, yeah, let me be serious now. So, my partner and I, one friend of mine, we had a little chat after the scene. We had some heavy discussion going on, but we both unanimously agreed on one thing. We had some slightly differing views on some stuff, but here's what I think we were clear. And hey, my boy Robert Relax, thanks you, man. That was a very healthy conversation. But here's what I think we were clear about on both sides of the table. There are two factors that come into play, and more often than not, people only focus on one. Here what they are. There is usually an intent and a motive behind the act, and then there's the commission of the act itself, regardless of your intent. What most people tend to look at is why something happened, rather than the fact that this happened. So, in the case of George Floyd, just a brief comparison. So, in George Floyd, we look at why George Floyd was killed, and we focus on the why, and we trace it back to how much hundreds of years and slavery and all that kind of stuff, and that is why. No problem. Why was the young girl killed? At the end of the day, both of them got killed. The fact is, both of them died. Both of them was killed by another person. The reason is different. The motive is very different. But the end result factor is two black people lost their lives. How come one is more important than the other? That only one deserves a protest and not the other. Why? Because we're looking at the why. We're looking at the reasons why George Floyd was killed to be able to say Black Lives Matter. But the reason and the circumstances along which the little girl was killed is it not warranting us to say that her little black life matter. And some people wonder why I don't take these things very serious, because as far as I'm concerned, we're not serious. If we want to, again, understand what I'm saying, I am not saying that the circumstances are not valid. I'm not saying the arguments are not valid. I'm not saying the positions and the philosophies behind. I'm not saying those things not valid. That's not my point. And we need to listen carefully and don't hear what you want to hear because you want to hold up a certain position. Understand clearly what I'm trying to say. Again, this is my view at the end of the day. But listen to it carefully and it may make sense. I am saying if we want to be making those statements, black lives, not only black American lives, not only black lives under certain circumstances, but if we want to say Black Lives Matter, then we need to show that it matters across the board. And we mustn't only wait till it reaches the point of death either. Because if we see A black person under certain pressure, that's a life under pressure, then it must matter. And it must matter to the point that you and me, as fellow black people, this is a different level of the conversation. It needs to matter to the level where you and I, as fellow black people, will come to the assistance of a fellow black man because his life matters. And don't wait till he's dead by the hands of white, Chinese, yellow, whatever color, pink, blue, police, whatever you want. Then we go say it matter. But if we see it happen, we must be willing to step to the front. If we really feel it matters, then what are you willing to do to show that? Because let's turn the table. If it was your life in jeopardy, you wouldn't want a fellow black person to come to your aid because your life matters. I know, asking, I know. I see some people logged on. I'm going to say thanks to the viewers that are logged on so far. And don't forget, as I said, feel free to like the channel, subscribe. I hope all are not subscribe, all are not subscribing because all don't like the channel. On that serious talk. Share the channel. Yeah, you know, let's do this thing. Because at the end of the day, all what I'm about is trying to motivate people, trying to sensitize people. Sometimes we think too narrow-minded. As human beings, sometimes we suffer from tunnel vision. So there's only what right there we could, like horse, you know, we have blinders, so it's only what right there we could see. And then we have tunnel vision with stiff neck, so we can't even do that, you know, to get a little panoramic view. It's just right there. So that's the most we could do, because you have this blinders here and then you can't move your head much because you have stiff neck. Nah, people, we had to go beyond that. You have to go beyond that. So Black Lives Matters, really, people. Let me see how much time we're running there. Hey, making good time, man. So, here's what I want to encourage us this evening. If we really feel that Black Lives Matters, let me put this one. A couple of weeks ago, I got an invitation to join a chat on Facebook. I felt so proud. Honestly, I felt so proud. I think it's Black Lives and Black Dollars Matter. And it was a forum for people to promote black-owned businesses. And let me just say this for even we have a big misunderstanding, as far as I understand it, where this black thing is. You see, once you're from Trinidad, you're generally black. African, Indian, Douglas, all are we black. The skin color. So don't mind some of we might have straight here. As far as them concerned, we black. So the page, or the Facebook page, was geared towards promoting black-owned businesses. And let us start doing business. I know generally when we use the term black, we're usually talking about Afrocentric people. I understand that. But in a broader sense, it's more than just that. But nevertheless, so black-owned businesses, let's start doing business with each other. I joined the chat. I joined the page. I see some nice businesses. I didn't even know we had some of these businesses in Trinidad. Now, I personally have always been one to patronize what I would consider my people. Like any other ethnicity, I believe will do and have been doing. But that's me. So, not that I won't eat from anybody else, not that I won't participate in other people's business. But honestly, and I say that plain, if I have the opportunity to help somebody who looks just like me, and I say that plain, let me be real. Somebody who looks just like me, Afro, and somebody who is of another ethnicity, my first inclination, I talk about everybody. My first inclination would be to help my fellow black brother. However, there are other factors that I would take into consideration. Not just because you're black, I'll support you. Because the other side of the matter is we could be black but involved in a lot of stupidness. But you expect me to support it just because you're black like me? No, I'm not on that. I'm not on that notishness. Nah, I'm not on that. So if it turned out that I found out by the way that you're involved in some unscrupulous behavior, you feel you get my business, you get my support? No, partners. No. Somebody else go get it. As I said, my first inclination might be to support you because I want to see my own people progress. But if it turn out that evidence come out that you're involved in some stupidness that is at the core of your business or even on the side, but you're involved in things, don't look for me in the house. Nah, me and there, you ain't getting my dollar. No, at all. And I'm saying it plain, you're not getting it. Somebody else go get a business. So this is the other side of the coin. We want to talk about black supporting black and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we have some black people who doing the same thing that some of the people that we say against us. We have some of our own people doing the same thing to our own. And that's the next side of the coin that we don't want to touch. So that's why I say, for me, I don't just look at the reason or the motive. I also look at the act itself. That's me. But that next long story by itself. We go get into that another day. Right? I'll vex it, me, right? I'll put something in chat. Hey, let me say a good evening to Tandy. Tandy, tell us how you going, babes? Nice to see you. Heartlight TV Tube. Good to see you. Who's that one? Sexy Sophia one? Oretta. And we have some other people locked on. Let me say a pleasant good evening and thank you to Equator Studios for providing the nice, you're seeing a nice kalimba background music running in the back while I'm talking. Thank you to my good friend Enwa Mencora from San Fernando, Equator Studios, Equator Entertainment, for graciously providing the background music free of charge. Sponsored. Thank you very much. Let me say a next big shout out to my boy Robert Relux for designing our logo. I hope you're seeing our live red logo with the nice little triangle and thing, and an interesting concept behind it. So let me say thank you again to my boy Robert for supplying that logo. And again, feel free to subscribe, to like, to share the channel, and look out for more big things coming up in the future. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for me. I hope I don't have to come back to this matter in a hurry, but that's my stance on it. And it has nothing to do, as I said, it does not mean that I don't agree or understand with the racial struggles that black people, particularly in America, not only, but particularly in America, have been facing for how many decades or centuries as the case may be, and to reach the point of frustration to be saying what they say. No, I totally understand that. But again, I just want to close with this. My view is, if we want to make a statement that Black Lives Matter, then let's make sure that Black Lives Matter across the board. And with that in mind, I want to close off with this one thing. An organization that I'm associated with called ITNAC. Is there not a cause? We had them here a few weeks ago. We did an interview with them. Well, on the 3rd of July, you will see more information coming soon, but as I have the forum, I'm plugging it. On the 3rd of July, ITNAC is having an all-night telethon. An all-night telethon to raise funds because they're in the process of trying to acquire a building. For those who don't know what ITNAC does, in many cases, when some of our Caribbean countries got hit by earthquake and big storms and stuff, ITNAC in some cases was the first set of people on the ground. Mind you, they've been doing some major work here in Trinidad too. Like everything else is based on news and how things get across, because ITNAC is not about tooting their own horn. They had time for that. They're real busy trying to help people. ITNAC has built homes found place for people to stay, have been paying for people to go to school, have been providing food for families and all over Trinidad and Tobago. That is Black Lives Matter. All I want to talk Black Lives Matter, that is proof of people who really believe Black Lives Matter. Because they're going all out for their fellow black people. They don't have to make this statement Black Lives Matter, but they're showing it all over. So what ITAC is trying to do is acquire a building, a multi-purpose, that they could use as a multi-purpose facility, that they could provide temporary housing for people. They could do like a meal service, and where they could provide meals for homeless or underprivileged people. Currently where they are in St. James, they actually have a school that they run with some of these members of the Spanish-speaking community from Venezuela and whatnot. They have their children in school. ITAC doing all of that. So they want to have this facility that can do that on a bigger scale. They can have all their mission-based distribution and everything happening from that one location. So we, Red, together with my company, Sunlight Studios, partnering with Heartlight TV, partnering with Trinidad and Tobago Film Production Services, Sharon Ali Aziz, and a few other people we are partnering with ITNAC to do that telethon to raise $2 million minimum. That's just for the down payment on the building. Right? And we know once we get to that point, things will flow. But we're asking you, if you really believe Black Lives Matter, please, this is an opportunity for you to show it. Because it's black people, not only, but it's black people mostly that is going to be benefiting from the efforts of ITNAC. ITNAC has been doing significant work in Kenya, in Haiti, building hospitals, building schools, in Ghana. I think Mozambique, they have been there already. They've been Grenada, Dominica, St. Martin. And of course, as I said, even our very own Trinidad and Tobago right here, ITNAC has been doing significant work. So, put your money where your mouth is, people. Let me show that we really believe, that Black Lives Matter. Don't let it only happen when a white police kill a black person. Let me show that Black lives really matter right through. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other. I could start a whole next episode going on the road with this, but hey, who's that? Oretta say no? What's that no about? Oretta, what is that no about? What's that no? Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for viewing. Thanks for joining us. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Red. I don't know what we have in store yet. As I said, we have some interviews and some interesting projects coming up. You'll hear more about that. Soon we'll be taking it on the road and doing some live stuff at venues and on location and chatting with people. It's all about trying to understand life and to help each other navigate this thing called life. Yeah, life. So folks, see you next time on Red.